So I decided to, let's just say I'm doing a video for the Ludian theory, which, well, it's proven to be a lot substantial. For those who are interested. Sorry if I'm not as enthusiastic as I used to be back then, but hopefully at least I'm not as quiet. Hopefully, anyway. I haven't been doing good lately, obviously. Not much I can do about that. Sucks, but true. Either way, the Ludian theory. Looking over some of the discoveries that some people made, it's interesting, or a scientist made, correction. It's interesting, especially with the Neolithic Anatolian farmers. The theory is that Lud is a character mentioned from the Bible, numerous times in the Bible. Sometimes it's mistranslated or translated differently to Lydia or Ludum, which is a whole other separate character having to do with one of Ham's descendants. But when it comes to Lud's descendants, well, that's what my theory is based off of, the Ludian theory, where Lud's descendants, they lived in Anatolia for a while, but then moved elsewhere. They moved to Italy, Spain, and so forth and so on, and that's the theory that Lud's descendants inhabited Anatolia and traveled to Italy and traveled to Spain, which it does sound a bit far-fetched, but the thing about that is the discoveries that scientists made, because when it comes to the Neolithic times, or the Neolithic age with the Anatolian farmers, apparently it's discovered that the ancestry that the Anatolian farmers actually share, the Italians and Spanish share the same genetics as these Neolithic Anatolian farmers. I even looked it up myself. You know, the Anatolian farmers, the Italians, the Spaniards, are they connected? And the answer is yes. They're all genetically connected to each other by the Anatolian farmers, or the Ludians, as I call them. It's actually interesting because, well, the proof of it is basically based off of the discoveries that scientists made, especially the genetic scientists, over with the genetics of the Neolithic Anatolian farmers. The other theory, now plausible, of my theory, Lud's descendants coming from Anatolia or inhabiting Anatolia here and there. But the thing about that is the Book of Jubilees. I was very interested in that book for multiple reasons, because it mentions what happens after the flood with the other descendants here and there, and getting land and all that stuff, or being given land by Noah using lots, and giving more story to the characters, which is interesting of itself. But when it comes down to the Ludians, or Lud's descendants, or just Lud himself from the Bible, he's one of the sons of Shem, mentioned in Genesis. Can't remember where exactly. Here it is. It's chapter 10, verse 21. It's been a while since I looked into the Bible, so loss of faith will do that to you. Either way. But not loss of belief and faith, but not lost of the knowledge of truth. Once you know the truth, you can't go back to a lie. No matter how long bad you want to. Point case though, Lud is mentioned here. Shem, he was one of the sons of Shem. But when it came to the Book of Jubilees, after the flood, Lud was given land, and it's interpreted that the land he was given was Anatolia, as described in the book of Jubilees. The descriptions actually match pretty head-on, honestly. Hauntingly, actually. So my theory has a lot more merit to it than the Ludian theory, where the Anatolian farmers were Lud's descendants in the Neolithic age, and they traveled to various places, Italy, Spain. Heck, their descendants might have spread even to Europe, as Anatolian farmers are also associated with Europe as well. At least that's my perspective. Or, ironically, the Japhethites were, or Japheth's descendants. You get the point. I guess I really don't need to go over more than that. I mean, I could go over like the description, like the land, but I don't remember that. You'd have to, people can look it up for themselves. But if I had to, it sounds like it was Anatolia. But there's also another thing as well when it came down to that land, because when it came down to Anatolia, if you don't know where that is, that's Turkey, or modern day Turkey. But I call it Anatolia because it's much more appropriate and correct. Excuse me. But when it comes down to the land or itself, it's very interesting, the history behind it here and there. There also seemed to be another person that lived in Anatolia, and they lived nearby the land. Meshek Togarma, right near the edge. They're somewhere between where Ashur would have been given the land here and there. Ashur supposedly is the father of the Egyptians, but I'm not sure about that. Well, I am sure about that, but there's no genetics. I didn't look up the genetic stuff there because it didn't interest me, and it wasn't my goal. It was the Ludians, the Anatolian farmers. So, take it for what it is. Maybe I'll do that some other time. Right, sorry, I went off track. But there was another person living in Anatolia, and apparently it was Tubal, who also is one of the sons of Japheth, ironically. Interestingly enough, though, the land is described to him, but it's very vague. It's very confusing. Something I don't understand. Yeah, but I know there are those people who are still confused, probably watching this still confused, understandably. So, thankfully, in my due time, I made a tiny little kind of map on the back of this Bible right here. I'll show you it. Probably might not be able to see it too well, but it's the map behind it. Then on the front of it, I just painted the theory of mine, of pretty much like the genetics and the Ludian Anatolian farmers, the theory, the discovery that scientists made here and there. It shouldn't be that surprising, honestly. I mean, what is it? But yeah, the point in case is I just wanted to do this one finally. I don't know if it'll be my final video, most likely, as there's really no reason for me to make more videos since, if I get less than 100 views, what's the point, right? At least that'd be my argument. That, and I'm more of a writer than I am what do you call them? An influencer, whatever you want to call it. But yeah. Anyway, most likely, I'm doing this off of Facebook Live because my storage on my phone is all taken up. Nothing much I can do about that. So I have to do this live on Facebook, and then hopefully I can download the video and hopefully upload it to YouTube. Hopefully it's not a fat chance, honestly. I also hope that the Wi-Fi isn't like getting messless. Anyway. But yeah, no, that's it. That's the end of, I guess that's the final video of the Ludian like theory of mine, which, you know, it's not much of a theory. There's like, or if it is a theory, it's one that holds a lot of merit to it. The discoveries that genetic scientists made, the historical proof of like the Anatolian farmers being genetically related to the Ludians, to Lud's descendants here and there. I mean, I can go into like Tubal and all that stuff, and how maybe Tubal's descendancy, like I call them the Tubites, but or the Tubites, but how Tubal's descendants kind of mixed in with Lud's descendants and maybe created, or what we see of the tribes before the Hittites arrived to the land, and so forth and so on. I could go over that, but my whole thing was just the whole Ludian theory, which I just wanted to finish that video off instead of leave it off of like part 1, mention all, you know, the scriptures that Lud's mentioned in part, and then you get the point. I did find it interesting though that Lud's descendants are associated with the Luwians, or not the Hittites, but the Luwians and such. The Anatolian farmers and the Luwians and such. The Luwians were the people who lived in the land of Anatolia during the time of the Hittite Empire. Kind of crazy how it's one thing. Funny thing about that is, I didn't even create the Ludian theory too, like the name Ludian. It was actually a mistranslation, or an error, a spelling error. I guess in one of the versions of the Bible, John Wycliffe's version, when he mentions, I think he was trying to mention the Lydians, but the Y became a U, so ironically became Ludian. That's where I got the idea of Ludians. I guess it would have developed one way or the other. It was just a matter of when. Yeah. Sorry, I went off track, but when it comes down to the Luwians, it's very interesting. Lud is associated with the bow and arrow with the Luwians. And the Luwians, well, I don't want to say they were known for using bows and arrows, because it's not fully right, and I don't know much about the Luwians, so I'm still trying to learn more about that. But when it comes down to the story, especially the story of Troy I've been retelling, or I've been looking over, it's interesting just how like bows and arrows were looked down upon by the Greeks, especially in the Iliad. But Paris is just like, well, Lud's descendant, which is ironic, because Lud's descendants are known for, or renowned for, using bows and arrows. Paris himself, Prince Paris of Troy himself, used a bow in his bows and arrows. That's how he was able to kill Achilles. Yeah. I don't know why he used air quotes that time. He defeated Achilles, actually. Killing... Oh, that's a different story altogether. Excuse me. But yeah, that's really just about it. I just wanted to finish off this video. Whether I do more in the future, I do not know. Least likely. My life ain't doing too that. I ain't doing too hot, actually. Seems like it, but looks are deceiving. Everyone knows that, or at least they should. Those who don't are just... Well, let's just hope they get it soon. Least likely, though, unfortunately. Either way, I'm glad to have finished off this video. I don't know how much of views this video will make. I highly doubt any, considering that this video has been going on for a long time, but yeah. Anyway, hopefully no one else is here, but you know, I'll just post the video, because I need to get back to writing here and there. I'm still doing my retelling of the Trojan War, Really gotta get back to that. Oh, I am back to that. It's just I really want to get through it already. But when it comes down to the yeah, I'll cut it off from there because I already like talked with the Ludian theory, talked about what's going on with me. I'm just gonna keep this video going longer than it should. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found it informational. I know there's gonna be a lot of people out there that are gonna dismiss my theory, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Like, it makes sense. The Book of Jubilees mentioning how blood was given the land of Anatolia, and then the research of the scientists showing that the Spaniards, or Spanish, the Italians, how they're genetically connected to the Anatolian farmers. It makes sense. I don't know why I'm complaining, but still, like, it makes sense in the whole sum of it. It's not just some like a madman random theory. This is a theory that actually holds a lot of merit to it. But I know people. I don't know too well. Either way. Hope you, like I said, hope you guys found the video enjoyable. Sorry for taking so much of your time. Yeah, see you around.